What video or recording is perfectly innocent, but becomes terrifying when you look into the story behind it? My mom and I recently watched one of those 2020 shows, and they were talking about a woman who went out drinking one night, and was never seen again. She had gone back to one guy's apartment, but hotel footage showed her leave shortly after arriving, and the guy in the apartment swore he didn't do anything to her. But they kept interviewing this one guy, who was the last guy to see her alive. They stopped at a gas station, and he claims that she started talking to another guy, got in his car and left. He played the whole "if I had only known, I wouldn't have let her go" act, with tears and everything. Well, there's footage of him at his job a couple days later, and the footage is super generic. He has a cooler on a rolling cart, and he's putting it in a freezer. He worked for a food production company. When the police interviewed his boss, they asked to see all of her footage, and she obliged. When they got to that part of the footage, him putting the cooler in the freezer, she told police to stop. She said that those coolers were used to store granola bars, and there was zero reason for those bars to be put in the freezer. The girl's body was in there. He took it out back and burned basically everything in a barrel down the alley a couple days later, but it was before the police had seen the footage. And he had bleached his entire van before police could search it. That was a local one for me, and super effed up. She was drinking underage at a club in downtown Denver and was totally wasted, either had been way overserved or had been drugged. She got kicked out of the club and wasn't allowed to go get her jacket, purse, or phone. Her friends had it all, so she accepted a ride home from someone she didn't know. The rest is history. Web link. The TV show The Willis Family that had 2 seasons on TLC. The dad was super controlling of his 12 kids and wife and just gave off creepy vibes. I was shocked though to find out that he had been raping his own daughters for years, with the oldest saying that molestation started when she was 3. All 12 children were homeschooled and did dance and wrestling, but only with each other. They were so isolated from other people. He was also strict about his daughters saving themselves for marriage even though he was raping them. There's a clip from the show of him discussing all the kids building houses on his property so his future grandchildren would be close by. It's like he was trying to set up his next victims for when his daughters grew up. The worst part is the mom knew for a while but didn't do anything about it. It was a family friend that ended up reaching out to authorities, which led to his arrest and sentence of 40 years. It's super creepy to see clips of the show knowing what was happening behind closed doors. Considering the hidden in plain sight sexual abuse by Josh Duggar, you'd think TLC would be more careful when they do shows of families in the Quiverful cult. People who have those extremely skewed, controlling views of sex are rarely up to any good. TLC doesn't give a single crap. They still film and promote the Duggars. They only kept some of them off the air for a while because of backlash, and now it's faded. The song Anne-Marie sings in All Dogs Go to Heaven about wanting a loving home. While recording, the voice actress, Judith Barcy, kept crying. Her home life was awful. Her father was abusive to both her and her mother and would often threaten to kill or hurt them. Judith died before the movie came out. She and her mother were killed by her father and then he killed himself. She was 10. My dad couldn't watch that without crying with rage. As a kid it didn't make sense, because then he'd turn off the TV and just hug me till my ribs creaked. What a creepily wholesome metaphor, hugged me till my ribs creaked. What about the video that was on Tosh.0 where there were 2 girls and the dad tied them in a playful way to the bed? But it was really like a pedo tutorial on how to do this to kids so the pedo could do what they wanted. Tosh said on the show it was creepy and the guy's whole YouTube channel was weird. A few months later the FBI or something investigated it and it turned out the guy was a pedo abusing the girls and exploiting them on his kids' YouTube channel. That video looked creepy innocent until you find out the real story. Reminds me of that picture of 2 girls on their knees eating whipped cream off an older guy's knees. The girls are smiling, probably thinking they're playing some goofy game, when obviously in reality the guy is grooming them to normalize that behavior. I hope those girls are okay. One day I saw a news report on a woman's body dropped in a lake. The police were still looking for the body. They interviewed a man who said that could have been someone's mother. A few hours later they find out the body was that man's mother. That's sad crap, man. I was at a friend's house, My friend's dad yelled down from upstairs someone was struck and killed by lightning at Venice Beach today. I got cold, looked at my friend and said, damn, that could have been any one of us. Get home and later find out that one of my friends was out in Venice when a lightning storm hit, striking the water. He wasn't even in the water until he ran in to grab the people that had been struck and incapacitated. He ran in to save them, and when he did he got struck and died instantly. Broke my effing heart, but that was the kind of person Nicholas Fagnano was, selfless and perfectly kind. Edit, it's possible I created the scenario in my head. The LA Times article about my friend states that he just went into the water to rinse off and was the only person to be struck. I emphatically remember being told he went in there to grab someone, but I think it may have been too hard for me to deal with and I had to create a scenario where he chose to give his life for someone else to make it easier on myself. I apologize for possibly misleading you guys. I had no idea, and I must have told myself the story for so long it became my reality. Carmen Miranda, the famous singer and dancer of the 1940s, performed on The Jimmy Durante Show on August 4, 1955. At the end of her performance she briefly dropped to her knee but popped back up afterwards. She later died of a massive heart attack that same night. Edit, happens at 24:02. My fault for not putting it earlier. YouTube link. Wow, you could tell her dance partner knew something was wrong and stopped the music to let her catch her breath. I don't know about innocent, but if you cut out the ending, the video leading up to Bud Dwyer's suicide seems so normal. Just another guy on TV getting harassed by reporters over the latest controversy. If it had cut there, you could air it on the evening news and nobody would know someone died less than 20 seconds later. Just disturbing. Edit, corrected some words. For anyone daring enough to look it up, don't watch it if you have a weak stomach. So much blood. I don't know if you are aware, but there are actually two videos, from different vantage points. The first has a pretty horrible amount of blood, the second is I'm sure the one you are talking about, where it's like I can't believe that much blood can even fit in a human body. Was this the one where he pulls the gun out of the manila folder? All the reporters go wild and he calms them down. It's okay, it's okay. Then he moves on to shooting himself. He really psyched them out. Odd. No, stay back, this will hurt someone. This performing in a bar in Thailand. Minutes later, the entire place catches fire and more than 60 people are dead. Also, the band's name is Burn and the song they're singing is Linkin Park's In the End. Hi, Jack Neal. Web link. That's some Final Destination crap. Tommy Cooper death on stage. People was thinking he was still acting when he collapsed on the ground dead, for a heart attack. Edit, grammar. Tommy was a brilliant performer who was deliberately amateurish and had things go wrong as part of his routine, so when he died, many thought it was part of the show. Dr. Nasser's sports medicine videos. He's one of the docs for USA Gymnastics and has had a ton of videos on his website of him demonstrating various sports med techniques and treatments. It looks professional on the surface. The thing is, some of his techniques are totally made up. Some techniques he demonstrated on video he would digitally penetrate, finger, young girls in the vagina and anus. He performed these techniques on hundreds of young girls under the guise of it being for their health and sometimes directly in front of their parents, sometimes while aroused. Watch Athlete A on Netflix if you want the story on this scumbag. He's imprisoned in a facility specifically for inmates that can't be with general population because of the nature of their crime, i.e. guys that would be brutalized by other inmates. I've been to one of those facilities as a contractor. COs hate those inmates. They're the worst of the worst. I.e. guys that would be brutalized by other inmates. I recall reading that at first they tried to put him in a normal federal prison, and the very moment he went with the general populace he got beaten up. Maybe not that innocent to begin with, but extra creepy knowing the truth. A video of an African gray parrot named Bud saying "Don't effing shoot." He witnessed his owner, Martin Durham, being murdered by his wife. If I recall correctly, Bud also mimicked both sides of verbal fights, alternating between a male and female voice. I believe the parrot testified in court, the wife was convicted. Edit, Bud did not testify. Sorry to get your hopes up. He was, however, a useful witness during the investigation. I believe the parrot testified in court. Aw man, I so wanted this to be the case, but she was on the stand. Anyone know of any cases where a non-human has testified? Web link. In bird culture, shooting your husband is considered a dick move. I am really appreciative for this bird person reference. It really lightens the mood as I go down this thread. Chris Watts pleading for the return of his pregnant wife and daughters. He confessed to killing them all the following week. YouTube link. Wasn't this the dude who threw his kids in an oil tank and buried his wife a couple 100 feet away? Yes. What the F? Next-door neighbor security footage of a disturbingly calm Chris Watt loading up his work truck in the morning with the bodies of his recently strangled pregnant wife and 2 young children, to dispose of them. Absolutely effed up. In a recent interview, he said the kids were still alive in that video and took their lives at the dump site. His Steam account containing around $100,000 of in-game items was banned 6 months later, causing him to have a serious mental breakdown. 2 months after his ban, he drove this car 100 miles per hour down an LA San Diego highway the wrong way in an attempt to commit suicide. He crashed head-on into a van, killing himself, a mother and her 12-year-old daughter. Web link. Do you know why he was banned? Tied to the gambling websites, when everything was removed, he and many others were trade banned. They could still play but couldn't trade items. The websites were a scam too. OG McSkillet's story is both really interesting and effed up. Since I took great interest in what he did to CSGO back in 2016, I'd like to go into detail for anyone that's interested. He made CSGO skins popular in a way that was completely new at the time and basically became the new trend in Steam item trading. To understand what I'm talking about, you need to know what follows. CSGO has in-game items, so-called weapon skins. They don't give you any advantages, they just look cool, and some of them are valuable as F. An item price can range from 3 cents to many thousands of dollars. You can gather them through random drops during games or by opening weapon cases, which cost $2.50 to open. The item you get is always random, however you can directly purchase the ones you like on the Steam community market or third-party sites. Now, every one of those skins has a unique float value ranging from 0 to 1 with 9, or more, decimal points. This value determines what the skin will look like, close to 0 being factory new and above 0.5 being battle-scarred. OG McSkillet started covering a lot of unique float values in his videos about people who collected 0.999, 0.420, or 0.000 skins. Eventually, this led to a huge number of people getting into trading with skins based on their float levels, especially after Swedish YouTuber Anomaly tuned in. McSkillet and Anomaly created a dedicated Steam group called Float Kings, which required anyone to join to have at least 3 weapon skins with a number 1 highest/lowest float worldwide. It was one of the most exclusive Steam groups at the time. Now at this point, with this much popularity, Steam item trading was pretty much what defined OG McSkillet. He himself had an insane collection of CSGO items with a total value of $100,000 or more. It was at this time that CSGO-related gambling sites started approaching YouTubers and offered them great deals to promote their sites. However, McSkillet didn't just want to promote other sites, how about he created his own? And that's what probably got him banned, because his gambling site was in some ways directly linked to his main Steam profile and Valve didn't like that a bit. So he got trade banned, meaning all his items were locked in his account for good. Although it never got confirmed, this is likely the reason he committed suicide and killed 2 innocent people. As you can imagine, the Float King Steam group as well as float trading itself died the day he did. From June of 2012, showing a 20-year-old man playing Dance Dance Revolution at an AMC theater in Connecticut. He is being unknowingly recorded from behind by some people who spotted him, and they are both mocking him and admiring his skills at the game. 6 months after this video was taken, the young man in the video, Adam Lanza, would shoot his mother 4 times in the head while she slept. He would then drive his car to the nearby Sandy Hook Elementary School, where he would murder 6 adults and 20 children who were between the ages of 6 and 7. During the shooting, he yelled abuse and obscenities at his victims. One student reported that he heard one of his classmates cry out, "Help me. I don't want to be here." And Lanza replied, "Well, you're here." Upon hearing the sirens of responding police units, Lanza pulled out a 10mm pistol and shot himself. No motive for the shooting was ever found. YouTube link. I was in high school in CT when that happened, and my chemistry teacher had to leave midday because his kids were students at Sandy Hook. I was in middle school a town over. They told us there was a gas leak and wouldn't let us leave the classroom. My teacher, who was known for being a hard ass, broke down and cried for a while. That was one of the weirdest days of my life. Back in the 90s, there was a segment on the Jenny Jones show where a guy, Scott Ameger, confessed that he had a crush on a male friend, Jonathan Schmitz. Schmitz was so embarrassed by the appearance that he shot and killed Ameger 3 days after the taping. This case is covered in an episode of Trial by Media that's on Netflix. I highly recommend it, it's really interesting. Mother Love by Queen. Freddie got most of the song recorded, but Brian has the last verse. At the studio, Freddie said he was tired and would finish the rest some other time. He never did, resting at home during his final days. Brian came back later after Freddie's death and finished the last bit. I'd also add The Show Must Go On. It was recorded in one take, with Freddie being gravely ill at the time of recording. He simply downed some vodka and then began to record the only take. That kid who did anime reviews and ended up making a video about his big future plans. He ended up killing his entire family and tried shooting up his old high school before he got caught. Also, Elliot Rodgers' old videos are just eerie. Mr. Anime's video titles were eerie as F in hindsight. Mr. Anime is planning something. In 2017 there were 2 girls, 13 and 14, who were killed in an Indiana park. The murders remained unsolved. The last Snapchat that one of the girls posted shows an unknown guy in hoodie approaching them. Edit, fixed some incorrect information. Web link. The image of the suspect was actually a video taken on Libby's phone and not uploaded to Snapchat. The Snapchat she posted was, which is also creepy and sad when you know that it was the last photo taken of that poor girl. Web link. I remember when this first happened. I was so confident they'd find the guy, especially since they had video and pictures of him. Can't believe it's been 3+ years and no new leads. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to be the first to know about Red Rabbit Reader's new videos. If you like our videos, please like them on YouTube and share them with your friends. We welcome your comments below. Press to start another of our videos.